The moment has arrived.
I pushed the button. It's going to work.
This is going to be scary good, man.
I'm sorry?
We're killing it. It's Maddie Levine with my good friend Dave Van Auken. Welcome to the Fight Banana Show.
The ruthless one, Elle Dawson.
Hey, guys.
Our girl, Gillian the Savage Robertson.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Welcome to the Fight Banana Show. 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, only on Fight Bananas.
What's up, guys? That red light is on. We are live, Elle Dawson. What's up? How are you?
We are. What's up? I'm good. How are you doing?
Dude, so good. So good. Coming from a UFC 299 that I know you and I were so damn excited for, the fight card, the matchups, the main event. Of course, Dustin the Diamond Poirier, who I got on my dang shirt today. But I feel like the card even over-delivered. I thought the card was amazing. Prelims to the main card, all 5 fights. We'll jump into all of them, but UFC 299 was awesome. Was really good.
Dude, 300 has some big shoes to fill. Like that card was, there wasn't a bad fight.
Wasn't. We'll talk maybe about 300 later. I do want to maybe chat on UFC 301. What the hell's the main event? What are they going to do for the main event of 301? It's in Brazil. You would think they would want to tie a main eventer from Brazil. I just don't see it happening. I don't know unless – are you ready? I know your boy Pantoja getting a lot of love. Maybe they'll do – that's just – I love Pantoja. Him as a main event of the pay-per-view is tough, especially when it's not Brandon Moreno. But, all right, let's get into UFC 299. Guys, at 1:30, we have Emily Martins coming on, a 2-0 pro. 2 p.m., we have Gillian the Savage Robertson. We got our good friend Keelin McNamara coming around 2:15. So a lot to get into. Let's jump right in it, Elle. Guys, if you have any questions or chats, chat it up. We love talking to the people. All right. Sugar Sean O'Malley retained the championship. I've been hearing masterclass. I've been hearing his best performance to date. I've been hearing a lot of great attributes about Sugar Sean O'Malley. I want to hear what you have to say first, and then we'll just chat it up. We'll talk it through.
Yeah, man, it was funny. I responded to your post of the matchmaking, him with Ilya. And everybody's talking about a trilogy. Do people want a trilogy? And I don't want to see a trilogy. I got some hate for saying that. But obviously, yes, they are 1-1. But if we compare the first fight to the last fight, the first fight was a decently competitive first round that ended at the end of the first round. We didn't get to see them have a full fight versus this performance where Cheeto had a moment in the last second of the fight. That was probably the most significant strike that Cheeto landed in the entire fight, over 25 minutes. Sean O'Malley just looked so good. I don't want to see that fight again. I feel like we know what happens. I don't think that we saw a bad Cheeto by any means. I don't think Cheeto didn't show up. I don't think he had a bad night necessarily. He looked like Cheeto to me. I just feel like Sean O'Malley just had the perfect game plan and the perfect just skill set to be able to exploit Cheeto's vulnerabilities, like his lack of volume. He's always looking for that big knockout shot. And Sean O'Malley just used that so well to set up his traps and to counter. It was just so impressive to me.
I couldn't agree more.
So
tough. Emily's coming in. We might just jump to her and literally in 1 minute. I want to finish this thought, and then we'll just kind of really jump into UFC 299 after this, guys. The one thing I really thought of, there's so much. We'll get into this fight for a long time, Elle, but how hard would it have to be? And when Sugar Sean O'Malley, everyone thinks he's very cocky and confident, all that nature, and the Sugar Athletic Commission about how he's still undefeated. We always talk about the fighters, and who's better. We see at American Top Team who's training, who's practicing. We all know who's better. And Sean O'Malley for 2.5, 3 years had to be I am better than Cheeto Vera. He knew he was better than Cheeto Vera. I give Cheeto more credit than people give him actually in that first fight. He's the one that attacked the leg. It was a weird injury, but injuries happen. It was the nerve. But when Sean O'Malley was leaving that cage and for all these years, and he kept on escalating and ascending, he always knew he was better than Cheeto Vera, or at least matched up better to Cheeto. So that's had to be hard for him. I'm happy that he won. What's up, guys? I know this is what we saw the first fight. So.
I don't know that I believe that.
Okay.
Because Cheeto did win the first fight, and he did it by doing damage. So I commend him for that. Jimmy Crute was beating Anthony Smith, but he didn't win.
Right.
You know, like the perennial nerd, like if you cut somebody open in a fight that you're losing and the doctor stops it, like that's fair game.
Yeah,
so I feel like, and I don't feel like Sean O'Malley versus Cheeto the first time is the same Sean O'Malley we saw last weekend.
100%.
I don't know. I think that first fight would have been fairly competitive. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it would have been close, and Cheeto might have edged out a decision had Sean O'Malley survived the first round and been able to continue. But I don't think we will ever see that level of competitiveness between the two of them again. I think
agree.
what we saw in this fight is what we would see in 3, 4, and beyond. Personally, I just think Sean O'Malley has improved so much. It's very clear, like you said, he's one of those guys that's been working.
Absolutely. Guys, we'll definitely get into UFC 299. We got Dustin and Poirier. We'll jump into it. But like I said, we have our guest coming on right now. We have Emily Martins in the green room. We want to get her on. Let's invite the undefeated Emily Martins coming on in. What's up, Em?
Hi. Hi, Elle. Hi, Dave.
What's up, girl?
How are you, friend?
Good. I'm so happy. I mean, couldn't be happier.
Very cool. Before we get into fight stuff and 2-0 and wins, there's a video that I saw on your socials. I'm going to play it real quick, and I'm going to ask you a question after this video. You ready for it?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is Fight Bananas technology, 2024. We're getting it. Here we go.
Everton's so good, you guys.
So the real question I want to know, Emily, first question off the bat, how many tries did that take for you guys to do that?
It was actually like the first time we did, it was actually okay. And then we're like, nah, but that's not really good for the Instagram. So we had to do it like 2 more times. Okay. But it was funny. We saw it and we're like, okay, we got to do that. It's going to get so many views.
It's all about the gram, Elle. It's all about the gram. You know that.
Right?
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's talk about it. This past weekend, 2-0 as a professional. Emily, are you still 19 years old? Are you 19 still?
Yes.
Oh,
I know, right?
This is the craziest thing ever.
Dude, I don't know if you got to watch it. I obviously had to tune in to Fight Pass to watch my girl Emily, but like, what a freaking performance. Like, just so super dominant. Your wrestling, your grappling looked so good. You looked calm and composed on the feet. Like, it was just a really beautiful performance.
Thank you, Elle.
So with that being said, I know you as a grappler. I've heard about Emily Martins for absolute years and on years. It's like one of the fun things I love doing is asking, you know, like the pros, Dustin Poirier or Jorge, ask him like, guys, who's the next people coming up? I remember Jorge mentioning Johnny Evelyn in 2020, right? And I remember a lot of people mentioned you 2, 3, 4 years ago. Now you're 2-0 as a professional. For one, how does that make you feel that, okay, I'm on this track. I'm on the right way. I'm 2-0. I'm getting the wins how I need to get. I'm getting finishes. How does it feel to be a 2-0 pro?
Well, when I got my 1-0, I was like, for probably 4 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm finally professional. And then when I signed the contract for my second fight, I'm like, yeah, I'm a professional. That's what I'm doing now. So like fight camp and stuff, I was so focused. I was training so much, like every single day. There was some days that I didn't even want to be there. There were some really hard days, but like everything pays off at the end of the day. So I'm so happy, man, and I can't wait for the next one.
Like I was saying, it was such a good performance. And I think I told you this, I can't remember, but Marissa Ellis is actually a friend of mine. I trained with her in Kansas City, and I remember that she hits like an absolute truck. And I wanted to get your thoughts of being in the cage with somebody who has that kind of power, and you still were so composed on the feet. What did you feel in the cage, and how did you handle it?
So actually, for my 2 professional fights, I got really 2 girls with freaking heavy hands, man. Like, they both came out of knockouts, and I'm like a grappler. And so, honestly, every time I train for those type of girls, I'm like, doesn't matter. I get on the gym and I spar hard with my sister, and she has heavy hands. So like, I'm not afraid of heavy hands, bro. If you come to me with heavy hands, I'll go back with heavy hands, but I'll grapple as soon as I get the chance. And I'm gonna take you down anyways. I know you know I'm gonna take you down, but I'm gonna take you down. So, but Marisa, I knew she had a really good boxing. I mean, I saw almost every fight of her before this fight, and she had so many knockouts in like 36 seconds, and I'm like, dang, okay. But she never really got a girl that moves and is not afraid of getting hit. So I'm like, I'm gonna if I need to get hit to grapple her, I'm gonna get hit. But still, I work a lot on my striking and on my boxing, and I actually did great. I actually could show a little bit of my boxing. I remember last time when I was talking to Dave, I was like, he asked me, so what do you want to show in your fight? I'm like, I want to show a little bit of my boxing because everybody only thinks I'm a grappler, so I want to show a little bit. And then I'm like, one jab and I already grapple right away. So I'm glad on this time I got to show a little bit of my striking, and I am really happy with my performance. Everything I did, I feel like I did everything I had to do, and I did everything that I trained. So every spar I did, I performed on my fight. So I'm really happy with that.
Emily, one thing that I saw, like just watching your fight and watching your career and talking to you a couple times, I thought your leg kicks were tremendous. Like you had a couple leg kicks, and you could tell as soon as they hit, she didn't like it. Like I was like, whoa! I was like, if Emily start leg kicking people to death, like we already know you as a dominant grappler and submission artist, but now you said you're working boxing, the leg kicks. Emily, pretty soon you're gonna be unbeatable. You're gonna be nonstop. You got no holes in the game, man. Like, is that what you're working on most now in these upcoming years and upcoming months? Are is mostly leg kicks and boxing and kind of the stand-up game?
So, I mean, everybody thinks I'm a grappler, but honestly, my first martial arts was taekwondo. So, when I started taekwondo, I loved it, but I didn't really do it for a long time. So, I kind of stopped, and then after some months, I started Muay Thai. And I used to hate jiu-jitsu. I used to think it was gross and I hate it. So I was pretty much just a Muay Thai girl, and growing up, I never really used my boxing. I only kicked because I love kicking, and I was very flexible. I danced when I was younger, so I always been very flexible. So my kicks were always really good. But then, like, when I started competing in jiu-jitsu a lot, like, my jiu-jitsu came up here and my striking stayed here. So, and then I started doing more boxing. So, and when I did my amateur debut, I was kind of getting everything together again, like, because I was coming from a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions, so I was not training as much. I was training jiu-jitsu. So, and then for me to mix everything together, it took me a little bit of time and a lot of sparrings, lots of like, I need to go to sparring and I need to try this because if I don't try this, I might not do it in a fight.
Right.
So I had the jiu-jitsu and I had the striking. I just didn't had them combined. So for me to do that, I had to take like steps like, okay, today on this sparring, I'm gonna shoot. If I don't get a takedown, doesn't matter. But I'm gonna try to get the time for the takedown. And many times I did it so bad until I did until I got the timing and I could combine everything together, and now I can pretty much say I'm well rounded in this game, and I can box, I can strike, I can grapple, whatever I need to do in the fight, I'm gonna do it, you know.
I know you're still very early in your professional career, but I feel like you are leagues ahead of where a lot of fighters are at 2-0. Like certainly when I was 2-0, I wasn't as well rounded as you are, and I think that's true for a lot of fighters. So are you already eyeing a promotion? Obviously, your sister's having the opportunity, Evelyn's having the opportunity to compete for $1 million in PFL. Is that something that interests you? What weight classes are you looking at? What does the future hold for you?
So for now, I asked for the belt for Cage Fury, right? And I'll be really happy to do that. And I'm sure whenever I do that, I'm gonna get lots of opportunities. And but I'm gonna take my time to be ready for big things, because I know everything has a time and everything has a purpose. But I definitely look forward to making it to UFC at 135. I know I'm gonna do great. It's just a matter of time, and but I'm taking one step at a time. I'm still really young, and I know I'm gonna do great things. Not only because I love this sport, but because I have a bigger purpose on this, and I want to do everything because of Jesus. So that's my biggest thing, you know. I know I'm gonna get there anyways. So I'm just relaxed. I know my next fight is gonna be great. I don't even know. I don't even have a date yet, but I'm like, I want the belt. So they have to give me the belt.
I love it. Love it. Talking about being great, someone this past weekend, I know you really didn't watch a lot of the UFC fights, but I don't know if you saw this, or I would assume so. Someone who used to train at American Top Team, to me, one of the pioneers in female MMA, Joanna Jacek. I call her Joanna Champion. She just got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. So my question is, one, how big of a fan, or did you guys ever look up a little bit to you too, Elle? Did you guys look up to Joanna? Did you guys both train with Joanna? I know Emily younger, and I know Joanna was on the way out, but I know she still goes to ATT once in a while. So what's both of your thoughts? We'll start with you, Emily, first, and to you, Elle. What's your thoughts on Joanna Jacek, her legacy, pioneership, and her being into the UFC Hall of Fame?
Man, I think it's great. You know, she made history when I think that was in 2017. I was 13 years old. There was a UFC in my city, and they had a picture of her with the belt on the wall. And you know, you get the belt to take pictures. So I literally stand right next to her picture, and I took a picture with the belt and her, like, right next to me. And I think 2020, that's when I moved to ATT. I met Joanna. She was one of my first sparrings, and I was only 17 years old. I was so skinny. I was definitely not the same as I am today. But we it was a war that day. I always tell my coaches and everybody who ever asked me, that day I was sure I wanted to be an MMA fighter, because we did a really good sparring and really good training. And I always admire her, because I mean, she was always one of the biggest strikers there. And man, she's the gold, not gonna lie.
Yeah, she's awesome. Elle, how about you? What's your kind of thoughts on Joanna Jacek?
Yeah, I mean, same. Like she was somebody I looked up to as well before, we came to ATT. And she's also just one of the kindest people I've ever met. Like I remember, I think it was like my first or second week at ATT, and she like stopped drilling to come over and like help me with something. I wasn't even drilling with her. I was drilling with, I think, K-Rock, and she like stopped and came over and like showed me something on the cage. And just like was just overly kind and nice. Like she helped me with kicks during a circuit one day and just went out of her way to do that. And I think that can be really rare in women's mixed martial arts, to have a female take on that role of just immediately seeing someone that's less experienced in the sport and just pulling them and taking them under their wing. I think that's really special. So she was just such a kind person. And yeah, like Emily said, she's the GOAT. I don't think there will ever be another strawweight champion quite like her, with her charisma and character and just star power, you know?
I thought that video was so cool. I really thought, sometimes I feel the UFC, when they put together like a video package like that, there's like no one better. Like how they did it, and like kind of the tough run and her championship run. And of course, to this day, the greatest female fight ever against Wei Li. Doesn't matter if she won or lost. It's the greatest female fight ever. One of the best fights ever, period. I just thought they did such a good job with that video. Couple last things for you, Emily. You guys were talking with Emily Martin's 2-0 pro, 19 years young. I think I have genes that are older than 19 years old. So crazy, absolutely. You said that you wanted to fight for the title next. Is there any time limit? Do you think it's going to be a summer, late spring? Because I would assume you look phenomenal. I didn't really think you took any damage in that fight. I know you maybe want another training camp. You're going to exponentially get better and better and better. It's unbelievable. We just talked about Sean O'Malley, and he's an older man, an older pro, but from where he was 3 years ago to now, the guy's a different fighter. I can't even imagine where you're going to be, Emily, in 3 years from now. It's going to be amazing. But where are you at? When do you want to fight next for CFC for the championship?
So, as you said, I didn't really take any damage. So yesterday I was already back on the mat. So I'm like,
where are you? Are you in Vegas right now?
I'm in Vegas right now. I came here with Jacqueline for her fight this weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, she was like, could you come and help me with the drills? I'm like, of course, I'm not even hurt, you know? And I was going to do wrestling. I'm like, okay, drill is better. I got to take me some time as well, so I don't, get sick, because you get so much like in a week. Sometimes you need a rest. Sometimes it's a little bit hard for me to understand that, but I do understand that. But about the fight, I hopefully I get it as soon as I can. I don't know when they're gonna do their next fights, but I know there's one in April, and I think there's one in June. So I think June would be a perfect timing for me. I would have perfect time for my fight camp, and I would be glad to be on their fight card and fight for the title. And I know I would do great, man. So
love that. They have an absolute, if you win that championship, I think that'd be so good for them, the company, going forward, to see whatever promotion you go to next. Hey, Emily, make sure they put extra zeros at the end of this next paycheck for you. It's like, hey, I'm going to be the champ. I want another zero at the end. Make sure they do that. Last thing before you go, a fun thing we've been asking some of the fighters and friends and stuff. In your phone, in your contacts, who's the most famous person in your phone as your contact?
Man, probably. I think there's 3. All Brazilians though. Amanda Nunes, Junior Cigano, and Cara de Sapato.
Wow, those are good ones. Did you see Cigano? Did you see him win the championship for Game Bread Bare Knuckle MMA the week before?
That was amazing, man. I did see him. I love him. He's a great guy. I love his family. So I was definitely watching him. He's the best.
Did you see who he was talking to after the fight? That commentator, that guy holding the microphone for Dos Santos, was amazing. That guy was amazing. He had great hair. Very funny guy. Very good guy. Oh, no. Man, Emily, you're the best, dude. I cannot wait to see you keep on progressing through your career. 2-0. You looked unbelievable, I thought, in your last win. Just the flow. I'm telling you, the leg kicks, I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't see that in your first fight to this fight. You looked awesome. Any last words for Emily?
No, just congrats, girl. Like, you know how good I know you are. Like, I tell you all the time. And yeah, I'm so impressed with your performance, and I miss you guys. I'll come to the gym later this week for sure.
Guys, thank you so much. I obviously love talking to you guys. I love talking to you, Dave. It's always so much fun. And I can't wait for the next one, though. And Elle, I can't wait to see you back at the gym. I hope you get better soon.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Emily.
you.
You're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you.
Bye.
There we go. Emily Martin's undefeated, 2-0. Dude, Elle, she's 19 years old. Like,
That's nuts. Nuts.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I think it's
Dustin
good.
Poirier's been fighting for 19 years professionally. Like, it's insane.
Right. I think it's smart. I think she has such a good head on her shoulders too, because I think so many of these young fighters rush their careers. Like, they're so obsessed with, oh, like, I want to be the youngest champ, or I want to be the youngest UFC fighter. And I think she's got a really good attitude about, you know, slow rolling it, because that's going to just set her up for success in the future.
I concur. All right, back to UFC 299. We were really on. I feel like we didn't cover enough on Sugar, so I don't want to short it. It was so good. With him winning the champion, like him retaining the championship. One, I thought it was wild. Merab sitting first row. It's kind of what the UFC does. Remember when Israel Adesanya won and they had Drew Plessis there? I remember when Volkanovski retained that Ilia Topuria. So I thought, okay, but he's going to say it. He stole the jacket before. We're going to see this face-off. I just thought it was so obvious. And who does Sugar Sean O'Malley say? He says Ilia Topuria. We'll kind of maybe get into that later on. He kind of has backtracked off of that for the last kind of day or so. But, you know, I guess my question is, what's next? Do you think for me, he's just getting better and better exponentially. Like, he is a better fighter. That fight against Peter Yan, like, this man's a hell of a lot better fighter, and he defeated Peter Yan over there in Abu Dhabi. So what do you think about Sean O'Malley and just his stock going forward?
Man, I think the Ilia fight is the one to make. Like, I think that's a great idea for, I understand the argument. Like, people are kind of tired of this, like, oh, you defend the belt once and shoot for being a double champ. But you also have to look at the lack of a superstar in the UFC right now. Like, John Jones is this close to retirement. Conor McGregor is probably never going to fight again. Like, Ronda's retired. Like, who is going to fill that void? And I think Sean O'Malley or Ilia Topuria, one of them is going to be the guy. Yeah. And man, and the nice thing about going up a weight class to try and take a belt is it really doesn't diminish you as a champion as much as, like, if you were to go down a weight class and try and take a belt.
Volk lost to Islam. He lost, and almost people thought Volk was even better. Like, he lost. It was like, oh, it was all about Volk afterwards. It was like, it was such a great fight. It was so close. I thought he won. Like, he lost, and I felt like his stock grew on the first time.
100%.
Second time,
I will say, now, there's two reasons for that, though. Volk was already so dominant at featherweight, which obviously Sean O'Malley nor Ilia has defended that title a bunch of times. And Islam was so dominant in his weight class. It was, I think, it being the number 1 and number 2 pound for pound greats. Yeah. That made that fight even and made Volk's stock even higher. But I think Volkanovski needs a break. I think he needs to rest. I've heard that they want to match him up with someone else anyway. I think that obviously Max is booked. I think that the UFC was expecting Yair to win, and they thought they were going to make Yair and Ilia in Spain. Right. And I don't know that they want to do Brian Ortega and Ilia in Spain necessarily. I don't hate that, but also Brian Ortega, I feel like he was gone for a long time. He wasn't on a huge win streak. I don't think that necessarily makes a ton of sense for that next title, for Ilia's first title defense either. So I feel like that fight makes sense. If Ilia wants to defend quickly and he wants it to be in Spain and there's not necessarily somebody else ready, the only other guy that kind of makes sense for him besides Sean O'Malley is Movsar at this point. So if they don't set the Movsar fight up, they may as well have Sean O'Malley fight him in Spain, because that's just an opportunity for one of those guys to become an absolute superstar.
And sometimes I feel like you and I definitely agree more than we disagree, especially about MMA and fights and stuff of this nature. And we've talked about this already. And just to triple down on it, I couldn't agree more. Like, I agree first and foremost that, like, I don't want Tom Aspinall to fight at light heavyweight. I don't want Alex to move up a heavyweight. There's a lot of them I do not like. I totally agree. I love when you clean out your division and you almost even sometimes fight some of those top guys twice. And then it's like, okay, like now let's go for it. Let's go for
There's
something
nothing
crazy.
left. Yeah.
But in this case, just this one crazy obscure case, go for it. Like absolutely go for it. Win or lose, even on the loss. I said this same thing with the Volkanovski. Just imagine if Ilya doesn't TKO Sugar Sean. They go for 5 rounds. It's like a war because I would assume both guys are going to stand up, big shots. Sean moves up in weight, kind of gets bigger, thicker. The chin's good. Ilya cracks him, but doesn't go out. And it's like one of these like war. Ilya wins and retains. So it's like, guys, Ilya just defeated Sugar Sean O'Malley. He ascends. And then Sugar Sean loses, but fights a 5-round war against a heavier, specimen and a pound for pound guy. Like his stock rises. Like it's one of these things like, you just go for it. You just go, hey, one of these guys is going to be probably the biggest star in our company. Like you said, they're both young. They're both marketable. It's like one of those things. It's like, don't do it all the time. This time, just do it. Just go for it. Sugar Sean and Ilya, crazy. I don't know when it's going to be because we'll talk about that right now. So 300s next month, already booked Vegas. 301s in Brazil. They do not have a main event. They don't have a we assume Pantoja is going to be on it. That's like the dirty rumor for sure. I really think, they really want Alex Pereira to win at 300 and then main event him right back at 301 in Brazil. If it's Izzy, if it's Magomed and Kalayev, that's what I heard. They really want Alex for that show. He wants to do it. And then
Really?
302.
Wow.
Yeah, 302. I know there's a co-main event on it. I know Grant Dawson. Let's kind of talk about that for a second. So that news broke this morning. Your husband, Grant Dawson, finally has his fight. June 1st, UFC 302 versus Joe Selecki. That's awesome. So let's hit on that first. How cool is it with Grant having that date on the calendar, permanent black marker, June 1st?
Always better to have a date. He feels happiest when he's in fight camp. Like he doesn't like waiting. He's been begging for a fight for a while. And so it's always great. But this is Grant's first pay-per-view. He's never been on a pay-per-view before. Even at, what is he, like 10 fights deep in the UFC and never a pay-per-view. So this is a really fun, cool opportunity for him. I know the card isn't full yet, so we'll see who else is on that card.
Co-main event. The co-main event in my books. Co-main event.
Should be.
Yeah. And on the contract, if you can't say I totally get it or whatever, is there a location? Because there is a dirty rumor about the location, but I haven't heard a definite yet.
I've heard New Jersey.
Yeah, the Prudential Center in New Jersey. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay. So with that being said, if that's 302 Prudential Center, 303 we all know is International Fight Week. We assume, again, the dirty rumor is Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. We'll see if that happens. So that's that main event. And then 304 and then 305 is coming up. And then 306 back in the Sphere. So 304, 305, are they going to do the Ilya that fight? It's weird. There's only so many dates on the calendar. We know Leon and Bilal. I think that's going to be the main event of 302. If I were to guess in America, that kind of makes sense. For
that
Leon and Bilal.
For Grant bonusing.
What are you trying to say, Al? What are you trying to say?
Nothing.
I heard, how about 302 could be Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades for the to defend his interim world heavyweight championship. Leon and Bilal as a co-headliner. I think that'd be fun. That'd be cool.
So when is the Jones-Stipe fight happening? Like what's happening there? Why? Like we all know Jones is going to fight Stipe and then retire. So why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? Let's just do it.
They say he's not healthy. And I know it's some videos and sometimes a one picture cannot show its justice, but he does look humongous. Jones looks really
in the comments. He said that.
Hey, he might be right. He might be right. I've never seen them. Imagine if Tom Aspinall has to challenge, Curtis will challenge Tom for the interim heavyweight championship. That's bad. I do not like that. But Tom doesn't want to wait all year. He's in his prime as a heavyweight. He fought in December. You have multiple number one contenders. Let's go. That's bad. But
it's weird. Yeah, I don't like benching Tom. We finally have a really exciting. We have a lot of exciting heavyweights. This is a resurgence of the heavyweight division. We've got some monsters right now. So I want to see Tom Aspinall fight as much as possible.
And it's crazy when you take out just one guy, the champion, everything just falters. It just stalls. It just stalls everything. I hope not. All right. Oh, we love us some Daisy here at Fight Bananas. I hope not, but I almost don't see Jon Jones fighting this year. Daisy, don't put that out there in the atmosphere. Do not
She's
say
kind of right, though.
I know.
She's kind of right, though.
Like, it's going to be 2025, and we're still not going to see Conor or Jon Jones. We all know it. Let's just kind of move forward. All right, let's go back to UFC 299. We hit on Sugar Sean and defending the championship against Chito Vera. But the fight that I think you and I were probably excited for the most, the fight that I will definitely get into about one portion of it, but how cool is it that Dustin the Diamond Poirier knocks out Benoit St. Denis second round? Such a cool moment. I've seen so many videos of it, the post-fight, all of it. Dustin is just the guy. He is the guy. How cool was it for the Diamond to show up at UFC 299 in Miami?
Oh, so I was so stoked, man. We were jumping around screaming. I'm sure our neighbors in our condo building were not super happy with us because we're yelling our heads off.
But 1:15 a.m.
Right? It was so late. But dude, he looked so composed. Obviously there's the 19 guillotine attempts. The memes are just killing me.
So good.
Dustin's sharing them. They're so funny. But he's such a dog. Like, he's such a dog. The vet level of Dustin Poirier was on display, which I am so happy to see, because I think he was really being counted out in this fight against a guy who made far too big of a jump, in my opinion. I understand he was on some antibiotics. Like, a lot of fighters have fought on antibiotics before. I have, Grant has, like, it happens, but I don't know that it affected his performance so much that, like, Dustin doesn't win that fight 9 or 10 times out of 10, you know, like he was able to deal with the heavy onslaught in the first round. He was able to survive. And then, man, the speed that Dustin has just shows that he hasn't lost it yet, because I think some of these dog and vet, I'm always good for a pun, guys, but no, the speed is the thing that these fighters tend to lose, and what makes the biggest difference as they get older. And Dustin still has his speed, and he still has his sharpness in his hands. And that's why I feel like he can still compete in this division in the top, 5-10 fighters in this weight class.
Absolutely. Like, all right, my not even fandom for Dustin the Diamond Poirier, who's back there right there, he's just one of my absolute favorite fighters. Just love the man, love the guy, I love just how he fights, how he conducts himself week in and fight week and all that stuff, post-fight speech. I love me some Dustin, right? I just did not get it at all. Like, and usually Las Vegas, they build huge castles out in the desert because they are right and they win money. I just did not ever get why Benoit was the betting favorite. Like, guys, just one way or the other, right? Dustin is still top of the division, no doubt. Very true there, Mr. Michael. Very, very true. Let's just go on the Benoit side. Like, Benoit, I know he's a finisher. I know he was on the rise. Still 27. Still is I thought I was impressed with him in the first round. Very impressed with him. He's his aggressiveness, and kind of he just like walks through shit. He's just very, very aggressive. I like that about fighters. But his last two wins, Matt Favola and Thiago Moises. We love us some Thiago. Thiago's fighting in 4 days, and we will be rooting for him. I think he's going to win this weekend as well. But even in that fight, Benoit like let himself, I feel like, too exposed and let himself get hit too much to Thiago Moises. We love us some Thiago, but Thiago, I think, is known more as a grappler than a striker. If you ever do that to Dustin the Diamond Poirier, you're getting knocked out. Like, I thought it was so obvious. The way to victory for Dustin was too obvious for me. And to fight Favola and Thiago, who, like I said, no disrespect to both those guys. We love us some Thiago. I don't think neither one of them have ever really been ranked in the lightweight division. Dustin's been ranked in the top 5 or 7 for like the last 5 or 8 years. Like, he lives in that top 5. And his losses are so good. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Everyone loses to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Maybe the greatest fighter, the greatest lightweight ever to live. Charles Oliveira. For one, Charles Oliveira, like, in that run was one of the great ones ever. He went Chandler, Poirier, Gaethje. Love what Charles Oliveira did. But even in that fight, I thought Dustin shocked TKO'd Charles once or twice, but he never followed through and tried to finish. And remember, I think I was like screaming on top of the mountain. I'm like, Dustin, try to finish this man. When you have him shook, go for the win. Maybe if they fight again, who knows? And then I know what happened. He just lost to Justin Gaethje. Guys, for one, I hate saying this. He was winning that fight until the fight was over. He already beat Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje is an all-time top 5 guy. There's just such different levels of who they fought and different levels of playing field. I just thought it was wild that Poirier was the betting underdog. Let's see. Dustin Poirier has a better resume than Khabib ever without winning the big one. Wow, Darnell.
I agree. And you know how much of a Khabib guy I am, Dave. But lately, I've kind of had to come to the realization that he really never had a super strong strength of schedule, especially when you see it next to a guy like Islam's strength of schedule is far, far stronger than Khabib's was. And I think that I think that the fact that like Khabib beating up Islam in the gym, I think that's gym propaganda. I think Islam's the better guy. And I think he always has been, but it's a respect thing because Khabib is like, he's older in the sport. He's been around longer. He's coach now. There's like a little bit of gym propaganda there, but I would bet money that Islam beats up Khabib in the gym.
Back to where Darnell was saying about Poirier and Khabib, dude, like I don't have to say this. Anyone who knows me or has followed my MMA media career knows how much I love Dustin the Diamond Poirier. I feel like I'm one of the biggest fans of him. Guys, like Khabib is 29-0 though. Like Khabib is 29-0, and they did fight against each other, yes, and Khabib stopped him, rear naked choke. Like there comes a certain point of resume and numbers do matter. Like man is 29-0. Khabib stopped Conor. Khabib stopped Gaethje. Khabib stopped Dustin. He wasn't winning the fights. He was stopping against those guys. Like I love Dustin, but like man, that's tough. Like I get what you're saying. I really do. I think Dustin's actually underrated. I agree on that part. I've been so vocal about that. Eddie Alvarez and Holloway win and such of that nature. 29-0 is Cupid, 17 we're rushing of no names. No, I get that. So even Darnell, even if you want to say 12-0 or 15-0, like the man never lost. They fought each other and he stopped them. Like what else in that 29, David? Who else in that 29? No, Alan Quinta, Edson Barbosa, Al was good. Barbosa was in his prime. That was good Barbosa back then. Yeah. So like
he had some good wins. He did. Yeah. I agree, like the strength of schedule wasn't necessarily there outside the UFC. But when you come into the UFC and then you do what he did to the top guys, it's like, what's Khabib's most impressive win? I mean,
his most impressive win is maybe Dustin Poirier, like the guy that we're debating about.
The guy who beat Conor how many times? Like, might be. He's got a few good ones under his belt, but I do think Islam's better than he is. And I think
Islam,
I think he gets, I feel, I don't know if you guys saw the video. It was like one of Islam's press conferences and everybody was asking Khabib questions and Islam's just like standing there like a sad little kid. I was like, I kind of feel bad for him. Like he should honestly be a bigger superstar than he is at this point. Dustin has fought everyone. I think that's why we love him.
I was going to say there's a difference between I'm more of a fan and I love Dustin's career more than Khabib, but to say that Dustin has a better resume, I don't think so. I just think that I like Dustin more. I want to watch Dustin more. Hall of Fame speech is going to be amazing, all that. But resume-wise, I think Dustin has 8 losses. Like, guys, don't make me argue against Dustin Poirier. You guys are having me argue against him. I do not like this.
Let's put this aside. Let's talk.
Yeah, last one, Darnell. I'm giving you one more. But Dustin, we can name way better guys he's fought. Khabib ran. He was like, nah, I think Charles beats Khabib in his prime. Hey,
Darnell, you think he catches the guillotine? You think he catches the gilly?
He's going to catch it on Islam to win the championship. We all know it. It's so storybook. Dustin catches the guillotine, wins the championship, the undisputed championship. His wife and daughter's in the ring. He unties the glove, puts the gloves in the middle of the cage and say, I'm done. I retire. Best retirement ever.
That would be the best retirement possible. I hope that for him so much. Don't be silly. Jump the gilly. You're right, Darnell.
Dude, I love me some Darnell.
The memes are killing me this week. They're so funny.
So good. All right, so Dustin Poirier wins. Anything else on Dustin? He is the man for sure. We got Gillian coming on in 10 minutes. I still want to hit on MVP. I still want to hit on Jack Della Maddalena. I still want to hit on Peter Yan. Is there anything else on DP?
No, move on. I didn't even realize we've almost been chatting for 45 minutes already. Let's go down the card.
I still got like 15 more notes. I'm not going to get to anything. It's what we do. All right, MVP and Kevin Holland. Definitely, I think not the fight we all thought we were going to see, but MVP won. I thought Kevin Holland was going to win. I was impressed with MVP's movement and his skills. I always knew that, but I was impressed. He was in the moment, big lights, big entrance, won in the UFC debut. I got to give the man credit. So I was wrong. I had Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I did too. I don't want to say I don't want to discount MVP because sometimes I do feel like Kevin Holland doesn't fully Kevin Holland, but I feel like he was there. I think MVP is just a really awkward style to deal with. I think it's really hard to time. And I think that, I think better grapplers are going to give MVP some problems because he's still got pressed up to the cage. We just saw Kevin Holland doesn't necessarily have the level of grappling and to deal with him against the cage. He was trying to reap, which is really hard on somebody who's super tall. And I think Kevin Holland's used to being the taller guy, and he wasn't this fight. So I agree with you, Daisy. I think he got a little frustrated and just didn't know how to make the adjustments for the awkwardness and the length. And I think MVP and Wonder Boy is the fight to make because that's who else are you going to match him up with? I don't know that he's got so many years left in him, but he said Kevin Holland's a hard guy to finish. Very impressive.
I heard a good one. So Fight Bananas, we put out Matchmaking Monday. We talked about it over the weekend, Elle, you and I. Oh, absolutely. MVP and Wonder Boy. Makes so much sense. Love it. I did hear of one. Justin is the Ultimate Warrior. Talking about Justin Gaethje, I believe. Yeah, maybe. Here's an MVP matchup that I heard one person said it, and then I thought more about it. I'm like, ooh, I like it a lot. You ready for this one? How about MVP versus Ian Gary?
I want Ian Gary to fight Shavkat.
Why is that? Wait, we'll get into Shavkat in a minute with someone else, and we'll get into that.
Actually, I would like to see that matchup as well.
Okay.
The one that I know we're going to talk about, but I disagree that it'll be a point fight. I like the Wonder Boy fight. I think that I think Ian Gary and MVP is a way more boring fight than Wonder Boy and MVP. I think Wonder Boy. Wow. I think Wonder Boy will throw fun kicks. I think he'll throw more volume. I feel like Ian Gary will have similar struggles to Kevin Holland, but he won't pressure as much. He'll move away and try to not deal with the blitz. I think he'll fight him even though it's a different fighter. I feel like it'll be similar to the Jeff Neal fight where he just kind of moves and touches. I think that's more of a point fight than the Wonder Boy fight in my opinion.
I feel like the UFC, and it's one of those things, it's like a no-lose situation. They're going to use MVP, an older guy in his career. I thought he had a really good showing for himself. Like I said, the walkout and all that stuff. They're going to use him to me, elevate the younger talent, put him against hard fights and younger talent. One, these guys like Ian Gary or Sean Brady will get wins and keep moving up the ladder. Or God forbid, if MVP wins 3 or 4 of these in a row, it's hey, I got we got MVP in a championship match. We have MVP, kind of almost what Michael Chandler did. It's hey, we don't know what we have here. We put him, and now people loved him, and they fell in love, and Dana White fell in love with Michael Chandler. So I just feel like you just keep putting MVP against these guys, and let them decide what happens in the ring.
Just see what happens. I kind of agree. I see in the comments, a lot of people are saying he wouldn't necessarily have, he's not going to go super far against the higher ranked guys. I would tend to agree. I don't hate this matchup, Darnell. I don't hate that. Yeah, I think I agree. You gotta use MVP in the spots where he makes sense because he's 36. He's not going to fight for 7 more years, So I agree. I think you match him up well in some bigger fights that I don't know that MVP's not always going to have super exciting fights. He has super exciting moments within his fights. He has boring fights with exciting moments. And where he flash KOs a guy after, 3
right.
minutes
Dancing for 3 minutes,
around, And so I don't think they can expect wars from MVP. And I don't think that's what they need to use him for. They need to use him for, like you said, Darnell, like use him in the UK, help him to build up, or maybe match him up against Ian Gary in the UK. That way, if Gary wins that fight, it improves Ian Gary's star power because MVP is such a household name in the UK. And if not, that just makes MVP a bigger star to use him for another fight against another veteran.
One thing I love, and we'll transition this fight into another welterweight fight. I love what's happening right now in the welterweight division. To me, for the last 5 years, we had Woodley as the champ, and then Usman won it. Usman was the champ. We had him and Jorge, him and Colby Covington. So we had like these same, and even like Wonder Boy was in there still fighting, which is amazing. We had those group of 4 or 5 guys. Now, Jack Della Maddalena, Ian Gary, Sean Brady, who am I missing? Oh, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like, there is such a new infusion in the welterweight division. I love it. Like, I feel like they have so many matchups for the next 3, 4, 5 years stacked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. Do I want to see JDM and Shavkat? Absolutely. Yes, do I think it should happen right now? Probably not, because you have new blood in the division and you want to continue to have new blood in the division. Don't eliminate one guy right now. Both guys are killing it. They're both undefeated in the UFC. Like, why would you risk one of them losing right now? I think waiting until they're in like a spot to be title contenders and then having them fight each other is a much smarter path, because man, how good did Jack look? Like, dealing with the high level of grappling that we know Gilbert Burns has. I would argue that Gilbert Burns is like number 1 or number 2 best jiu-jitsu guys and overall MMA grappling guys in the UFC. He's one of the only guys that is still competing in jiu-jitsu against crazy high level sport jiu-jitsu guys and doing well. So it's to see how Della Maddalena was able to deal with the positions, the back control, and get back to his feet. And then just the timing on the knee. Oh, like he looks so good. I hate for Shavkat to come and rain on that parade right now.
Hey, maybe he doesn't. Maybe Jack Della Maddalena lose those hands. But you mentioned jits. So when you do that, it's just like one of those, like you mentioned, like Beetlejuice, and something happens. You mentioned jits on the Fight Banana Show Live. You get Gillian the Savage Robertson.
Woo.
What's up, G?
What is up? Like, that fight that you guys talking about there, it broke my heart.
Yeah. It was crazy. Crazy.
I'm such a big Gilbert fan. Damn. And I'm like, he was doing so good, and all he had to do was sit on top for 2 more minutes. I'm like,
did you guys see that he was winning on all three scored cards? So he was winning 2018.
Oh yeah,
wow.
And then I'm like, it looks like he kind of went for a head and arm or like went for a submission setup. I'm like, if he would have just played it safe, just like sat back and just like played it safe and just sat on top for 2 more minutes. That's all he needed. I'm like, it broke my heart.
We love him, because it's not in his nature to do that. He's always trying to finish. Just like you guys are always
exactly. And you got to take risks to finish. And this one just didn't pay off, unfortunately.
Crazy. I know, Elle, I know you got to leave like in 5 minutes. So I want to mention one thing about Sean O'Malley, and then G will come back to it. But I want to play the game with Elle, with you, G. So I want to do moving parts here. But real quick, something you just mentioned about the 5th round. We'll get back into Sean O'Malley when Elle leaves. How crazy is it? That's something I didn't mention at the beginning. Like, he was winning 4-0. Like, he was looking phenomenal, had 4-0. And then Sean O'Malley's 5th round output, like, I love that guy even more now. I respect him even more. He could have just danced. Like, he could have just outskirted the cage. His range was amazing all day. And then the 5th round, he was maybe more aggressive against Cheeto in the 5th than he didn't. And something like we just said about Gilbert, like you said, Gilbert could have just sat there, maybe won the fight, maybe even 2 rounds to 1 or whatever. But Gilbert goes for the win. I felt like O'Malley was really going to try to finish the Cheeto. I love what Sugar did in the 5th round. Love it.
I love what Sugar did the whole fight. And he went out there, he just looked like a champ, honestly. Like, and I don't know, maybe Cheeto didn't look like himself. Cheeto wasn't fighting, it looked like almost. I don't know, maybe Cheeto, I think it was large part due to Sean.
Yeah.
That Cheeto didn't look like himself. I think he was freezing him up a lot. But like, Sean's he looked like a real champ out there. It was a genius performance. Like I said, like he was freezing him up so much just with his feints, constantly feint, then throw. And it was just keeping him guessing, keeping Cheeto on ice skates. And like I said, it made Cheeto not look like himself.
I totally agree. All right, we'll play this game. Then will more UFC 299 talk. I see you hanging out with Nate Diaz and Jake Shields, so I got to have those stories. You got to let me know if there was any partaking of a outdoor activity with you guys. We'll talk about that. But let's play this game because I know Elle does it better than I do. I'm horrible at the hints, but we're gonna play a game. Are we ready?
Oh boy.
Behind this white card, Gillian the Savage Robertson, I have a fighter's name.
Yep, this is my least favorite game.
She said this is my least favorite. Are we both guessing or is
No, just Gillian, because
okay.
I need help on the hints. I never give, like, people ask, I'm like, I don't know. So I needed your help on this. That's
I don't know who it is.
Oh.
You didn't tell me.
Oh.
Text it
I should
to
have
me.
told you.
I was like, how am I supposed to help you? I don't know who it is.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. See, I already messed up the game. I already messed
looks like
up.
me and Elle are
Text me the name.
You guys are on a team. You guys are on a team. You're on a team.
We're on a team. Okay.
Yep,
okay.
you're on a team now. All right, 10 guesses. Who's this fighter behind this magical white card that I spent 2 hours on making?
Are
yes
they
or no
fighting?
question.
Are they fighting on UFC 300?
No.
Are they lighter than lightweight?
Lighter than what lightweight? No.
So 55 and up.
Yes.
So it has to be a dude. Wait.
Yes.
Oh, you guess first. You go. We'll go back and forth. You go again.
Have they ever been a champ?
Yes.
Are they in the UFC?
Yes.
Still in the UFC.
Okay. Yes.
Are they currently a champ?
No. 5 questions down, 5 to go.
Jeez, 5 to go. Are they 185 or heavier?
No.
Okay. So either 55 or 170. We're
you narrowed it down. All right. Do they have a fight coming up?
No.
Oh, okay. That eliminates a lot of people. I thought it was. Okay.
This is the best game ever. The whole hour show should just be this.
Are they a grappler?
No.
Okay. So
He's not good at doing the one grappling move.
he's not good at any grappling.
He's okay, but especially at one move, he's not good at. Not good.
Is it Dustin Poirier?
Don't be silly. Jump the gilly. There we go. There we go. Gillian got 1,000 points. Unbelievable. All right, so he missed his.
I'm going to say, I think you might have answered a question wrong, though.
Which one? The champ?
Yeah. Has he been a champ?
Yep.
He was interim champion?
Yeah, but like not an actual champ, interim champ. Come on, like.
Wait a second. All right.
Interim champ.
At 115, if Weili gets hurt and you win 4 fights in 2024, like we all think, and 2025 they say, hey, it's gonna be you versus Erin Blanchfield for the championship. Is Erin 115, right?
No, she's 25.
All right. The number 3 115 in the world, and you fight for the interim champion. You don't like. I don't know. I think it's crazy how much. Sometimes, like, I feel like the interim, I agree with you, is kind of like fake, but then sometimes I feel like it's like amazing. You know, I don't know. It's weird. It depends like who wins it. I feel like.
For me personally, I've never respected anyone more than when Justin Gaethje won it and he put it down in the cage. And I'm like, that's exactly what it like. I'd be like, nah, fuck this. It's not a real belt. Like, I wouldn't want an interim belt. I don't respect it. I'm like, until I have that real belt, then that's all that matters.
It's not the same.
Wow, I love it, dude. I know you and Gaethje. I know we're always on Team Gaethje over here. Actual champ. I always mess up this game. I love the game so much, but I mess it up every time. I'm the worst at it. I'm the worst. It's crazy. All right. Elle, do you have to go, or you got a couple minutes, or are you running?
I have to go.
All righty.
Bye, guys.
Elle, you're the best. We'll talk to you soon, friend. Don't push any buttons. Last time she did it. All right, UFC 299, and then we definitely got to get into what I saw this weekend with Nate and the goat shed and all that nature. But okay, UFC 299. We talked about Sugar a little bit. How amazing was Sugar Sean O'Malley's performance, and how amazing was Dustin the Diamond Poirier's performance? We talked about Dustin a lot on the first hour of this show. I just thought it was like two insane all-time performances by each man.
I think the whole card really just lived up to the hype of it. You know, good. It's like a lot of time you get like these cards that have huge names on them and they just are kind of lackluster. They're kind of like, they don't live up to the hype usually. This one actually did. I felt like it was full of like fun fights, full of finishes.
Yeah.
All, like you said, Dustin Poirier, such an exciting fight. Just so BDS coming out and trying to like kill him in the first, going at him so hard. Dustin constantly jumping that Gilly, like literally sitting there cringing the whole time, and then to be able to pull off that knockout, get the win, I'm like, it was just an insane fight from top to bottom.
I totally agree. I almost felt like the card was so hyped, and I think it was almost even better than what we were hyped about. We're like, dude, this is so good. We haven't even talked about the Peter Yan Song fight. I love that fight. I thought that fight was awesome. Some of the prelims were so fun to watch. I definitely want to get your take on Macy Barber, JoJo Wood, who just retired. I definitely want to get your takes on both of those females. Back to Dustin Poirier. You know how much on high regard I have for you and your submission skills, and I love your way to finish fights. I just love how it's like, hey, if I'm getting into a position that it's a close opportunity, I'm going for it. I'm going for the win. But you watching the fight, I just heard you say like, oh my God, I was cringing when he was going for the Gilly. Like, do you think that's something he should like take out of the arsenal? Why were you not cringing when he was doing those submission attempts?
So it's funny because I heard Dustin in an interview probably about a year ago talk about how he's like, I finish the guillotine all the time in training and Mike Brown just hates it. And it's like, it was literally exactly what played out in this fight.
Yeah.
But typically speaking, when I go for submissions, I'm never giving up top position unless there's short time on the clock. So it's like when I fought Piera, or even my last fight when I fought Polyana Viana, both of them, I went for arm bars where I gave up top position, but it was like 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left on the clock. Right. So it's like giving up top position, you're not really risking too much. Going for a guillotine, you're pulling yourself to your back. The chances that it doesn't get if it doesn't get finished, like even with my arm bars, they didn't get finished. Just like, now she's on top and she's punching me in the face for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. You gotta be aware of what the time is on the clock if you're going to be taking risky moves like that. It's not wrong to jump a guillotine when there's 30 seconds left in the round. Like, it's a smart move then, but it's like doing it that early. Like in the second round, he walked out and literally just jumped the guillotine, like not even 30 seconds in.
Like, 4:44 was on the clock. I'm like, oh my goodness, is Benoit going to sit on him for 4 minutes? So I get it. So you're saying it's like risk management. If there's 9 seconds left in the round, I'm jumping for it. Gotcha. Okay. I dig that. We talked about MVP and Holland before you got on as well. I know Jack Della Maddalena, you said you were like upset, but like, did the Peter Yan Song fight? It looks like Yan lost the first round, got hurt, and then came back and went 2 and 3. How impressed were you with Peter Yan's performance?
Oh, Yan just showed how much he is like that true champ, that true vet. You know, he went out there, like you said, like took damage in the first round, probably lost it, and then went out there and was just able to do what he did in the next 2. And I think that was probably honestly one of the fight of the nights for me there. I loved watching that fight.
Me too. Okay, I would love your take also on Macy Barber winning another fight. Her kind of win streak keeps on rolling. And then JoJo Wood. It's so funny. I talk to so many people in the industry and out of the industry. Like, everyone has been a fan of JoJo Wood. She's just been around for so long. She was like the fan favorite on that Tough show, and just like her career, and to leave with a win as an underdog, it's got to be pretty awesome. Amazing feeling.
So Macy Barber, like, I think we talked about it on the show last week. She did exactly what I thought she needed to do. She needed to make that fight ugly, make it dirty, and she did that and brought the fight to Chukagan, you know? And it's like, that's the only way, I think, to win a Chukagan fight. You got to make it ugly. You got to make it dirty. And Macy did it beautifully. And then to go to Joanne Wood. So talking about her on the Ultimate, she was definitely one of my fan favorites. Going into the Ultimate Fighter season, like that season, I think I was like, I must have been like 19 or 20. I was early in my amateur career whenever that tough season started. And I helped Tisha Torres for that, like to get in like before the Tough House. So I was already like a fan of hers. And then through the show, just watching it, I became a huge fan of Rose, and then I became a huge fan of JoJo. And I'll never forget on that show, whoever she got matched up with for her first matchup, she was like really close friends with, and telling her like they were just talking, making small talk, and they were talking about like carrot cake before, and then they got matched up against each other, and JoJo's like, oh, I guess I have to bake her a carrot cake. And I'm like, it was just the cutest, funniest thing. And I'm like, ever since that, I've never forgot that. I've become a huge fan of her. I've never trained with her. I think we might have like been like, I might have passed her once, but I don't think we've ever really met. But she's someone who I would love to be just in the same room with. She just seems like a good person, good vibes.
Totally agree. This is bad managing or hosting spot by me, because I had a cool video with our first guest, and I had this picture. Dean Toole posted this picture earlier today. I wanted to get it on the show. I didn't do it. It's on my phone, so we're just going to make it happen. So this card, Gillian, happened 8 years ago in one day. 8 years ago in one day. Island fights, literally 6 UFC or PFL champions. And look, who's in the middle of that? Robertson versus Hannah Goldie. How crazy is that? 8 years ago.
With my name spelled wrong and everything. If it's the one with my first name, they always, on that fight poster, they had my name spelled with a J.
No. Wow, this is good. I'll send this to you. This is good. It's a G. Yeah, I was going to say, holy crap.
Yeah, I know there was a big one with me and Hannah, and it said my name with a J. And I remember me editing it on my Instagram, like, no.
Dude, the Instagram stories that you can like draw over stuff or like put words on is the greatest, is the best. It's like half of what Fight Bananas does. All right, there's a little secret sauce behind the building. We have Keelin. Keelin's going to come on in 1 second. I do want to talk to you about, of course, this past weekend. How cool was it to have Jake Shields and Nate Diaz? It was a like seminar by those two guys, right? At GOAT. Is that something that's why they were there for?
Yeah, they came and they did 2 seminars in Florida, one at Goat Shed. I feel like Jake Shields, he's one of the grappling coaches at Extreme Couture, so I was going there like excited to learn, you know. I didn't expect that Nate was really going to teach, and like Nate did what Nate does. He kind of came in, he was like, you can do this technique, or it'd be cool if you moved there, or it'd be cool if you did this too. And like flowed through little things, showed us a little bit, but Jake really like ran the shit. And Nate's just like a cool person, and you know, like he hung out the whole time. He was smoking with us, chilling with us. Like he was a cool person the whole time. But it was really, Jake Shields ran the seminar, and it was good shit.
Nice. And someone as high as you literally holds UFC records and everything of that nature. Yes, I meant the word high as well as pun intended. But did you learn anything? Was there something like, oh, wow, like that's cool. Like maybe Jake does it this way. I might try this a little bit more. As someone, you know, as high level as you, as a, you know, high level UFC fighter, was there even something from that seminar you're like, oh, I might take that and run with it a little bit?
Well, it's like there's a reason I went, you know. I'm always open-minded. I feel like that everybody does something different, or like it does something like a little bit different. Sometimes like I'll like to grab my hands like this while somebody does here, while somebody does something else, whatever. You know, there's like it can be the same technique, but somebody likes to do it different, and then they show you their way, and you're like, oh shit, that's cool. I never thought about that before. Right. So there's always something to learn. There's always some, like, even if it comes down to something as small as a grip, like we learned a head and arm choke, which I've done 1,000 times. I know how to do a head and arm choke, but now I learned his way to do it, which is different than my way, which is different than my coach Awesome's way, which is different than it's like everybody does their techniques different. And especially like, I feel like when it comes down to seminars, a lot of times you can learn the special techniques of like somewhat, like for me, my rear naked choke is what I would teach at a seminar because it's my specialty and nobody does it like me. So it's like you can learn like little things of like their specialties, you know?
For sure. I was just going to say that it was funny. One of the seminars that you did, I was there live with you. We kind of set that up of the night after Island fights, and you did it. And some of the things you were practicing was maybe on me or maybe not. We'll talk. That's another story for another time. But I remember you saying something about like how you don't like, you let the legs go a little bit. Like you don't need that control of kind of covering the legs, right? Is that something you were, did I remember that right? Like you kind of rear naked choke girls a different way than other girls do.
Well, traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it's always put the hooks in, then hand fight, and then go for the
hooks.
choke.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I'm usually attacking the choke first, and just the way that I do it even is like you can't just attack a rear naked choke. You have to use like the right head position, the right hand position, make sure that like you're not losing position in the moment. So it's like I definitely have a very unique choking style that I don't know, you definitely do see it occasionally, but I feel like you rarely see in MMA.
Gotcha. All right. One last question with you, and then I'm going to put Keelin in and have one last question, and then definitely you can bounce G. All right. Nate Diaz, Jake Shields, was there some partaking of a very, very green plant? Did you guys partake together in that?
So no, unfortunately. I was on the mat and I just smelt it coming in the gym. Like it was just like flowing in past my nose. I'm like, but I was training and a couple of my teammates went out back with Nate and Jake was running the class. So no, I didn't get a chance to. I'm like, we hung out, we talked a little bit about the Ultimate Fighter, shit like that. But yeah, we didn't get a chance to smoke, but I'm like, that's like that's like the one I need. I already got Snoop Dogg. I need Nate Diaz, and then like maybe like what's his name? Oh, Willie Nelson is the next one I need.
Yeah. That's if you get those three, you'll go in the pot heaven of rotation. Like that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. There's another chance. Nate Diaz might be around. He's looking for Jorge Masvidal. They might be around a little bit more. You never know. We'll never know. All right, I'm going to put Keelin in, and one question for you because I know how much. What's up, Key? How you doing, buddy?
Dave, hello. Feels like only yesterday I was here because it probably was yesterday. You can't get rid of me. You've done this to yourself. Good to see you again. Gillian, great to see you again. How are you?
Doing good. How are you? It's good to see you again.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be seen, to quote Chael Sonnen. I don't think I've spoken to you since your last fight. How the hell are you feeling? That was unbelievable.
Oh, I feel great. I'm ready to get back in there now, though. I've been texting Mick every other day, like, when's the name, when's the date, where's it gonna happen, whatever. I'm ready to go. And then actually, we haven't talked about this yet either, but next weekend for Karate Combat, we're trying as hard as possible to get me a grappling match. So I've asked like 3 or 4 girls so far, and we haven't been able to get me an opponent at the moment, but so far, my coach, Coach Awesome, President Awesome, the head of Karate Combat, he ensures me that I will have an opponent. So hopefully everything comes through, and hopefully I'll be competing at least next weekend.
Let's go. Hey, G, put in that good word. I was at the first at the part. What is it called? Comeback party back.
Oh yeah, the kickback.
Kickback. I was at the first one. If they do it, it's in Cancun, right? That's the.
Oh yeah, it's in Cancun. Super excited about that.
Hey, G, put in the slide into the favor. Be like, awesome. I need Fight Bananas there. We're gonna do, we're gonna do a podcast post show, and send them those plane tickets. I love it. Well, that's cool. We'll definitely jump on that, especially if we see the fight poster. We love that. We'll push the shit out of that. Also, if you want to get merch, go to Gillian-Robertson.com for merch. The Up in Smoke shirts and the booty shorts. All right. Last question for you, G. We'll let you run. Me and Keelin did like an hour or 45 minutes ago when it was announced. I think it was last Thursday when it was announced. Did you see that Jake Paul is going to fight Mike Tyson at AT&T Stadium? And when you saw it, what was the first thing that you saw or pops in your head?
Why?
Okay.
That was my thought.
Yeah. I think that's what everybody's kind of thinking. Why? It's like a dude who's almost 60 fighting a YouTube boxer.
I know. It's crazy.
Why?
Crazy. All right. That's what I wanted to hear too, Keelin. I thought we were going to hear that. I'm happy we did. Any last words? Anything else? That's awesome. You're going to the grappling series. That's been on fire. Like when Phil Rowe and Craig Jones, that was everywhere that weekend.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Like they made a complete like spectacle out of that. You know, walked out with like the mariachi bands and everything. Like they made it crazy. But yeah, I would definitely love to. Like I said, we're trying hard. We've already asked a couple of names and haven't been able to get something to come through yet. But hopefully it's gonna be in the works.
That's awesome. Because the first kickback, there was a girl that was the first grappling match ever. I think was 2 chicks. One girl was awesome.
I can't remember her last name, but her name's Helena. A jiu-jitsu, it's Helena, jiu-jitsu girl. And she's 17 years old. She just turned 17. She's a blue belt under John Danaher, and literally over the last year has just been killing it on the no-gi scene. Like she's been killing everyone. Like everybody. That girl we watched on the Karate Combat was a black belt girl. She's been going against all black belts, all adults. And she's a 17-year-old blue belt who's just an absolute monster. Like even at the kickback, she had her parents there with her. It was so cute. They just look like typical like sports parents, and she's just out there like kicking ass.
I love it. I love it. Dude, my girls are playing T-ball right now. I'm like their biggest fan. I'm their coach and their biggest fan. I cannot wait. They're gonna be like, hey, Anti-Savage, you got to teach them some jits moves. I got to teach them the choke moves for sure. One of my girls, because I know Alex Nicholson, like anytime she sees a pro male fighter, she like just runs for them. It's like my worst nightmare, G. It's not good. I'm in trouble. Major trouble. But all right, G, you're the best. I know. I got my hands full for sure. You're the best. We'll talk to you if not next week. If you're in Cancun, I would honestly, if you really do that, if that's something in the works, I might have to talk to you after the show or talk to Austin. I would love to go. Quick flight. I'll be back on Sunday. I would love to do that, especially if you're at that event. So, G, have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
I'll see you
later. Wow, that was cool. Keelin, my man, how you doing, brother?
Dave, I am very good. It is great to be back on the Fight Banana show, streaming every Tuesday. Glad that you had me. And yes, just wanted to say, we were talking about Grant Dawson earlier. Our press release and that is now live on the Fight Bananas website. Go and check it out. Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki, UFC 302. You literally heard it here first. What more do you want from us, people? We're doing what we do.
I know. We were literally first. I had it per sources. I had multiple people. I had to go on both sides. And it's funny because I know Joe Selecki for a while too. Even before kind of Fight Bananas and stuff, I've always knew Joe. I know connections. He was at Jimmo and Ipa Kasanganai. A lot of connections there. But of course, Grant Dawson's Fight Bananas family. So it's that's gonna be cool. UFC 302. So there you go. Go to fightbananasofficial.com. Check out Grant Dawson. I think you got some quotes from Mr. Dawson as well in that article. Am I right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I may or may not have gotten them from you. We don't need to go into that. That's not important. But the important thing is we got the thing. That's what we got. We got the information. We got the source. Yeah. We got it from the man himself. And I'm very excited. I'm excited for that fight. That is a good fight in this lightweight division. I'm very intrigued to see that. Very cool.
Very cool. All right. That's 302. Let's kind of hit back on UFC 299 and maybe get into a little bit of this weekend of UFC Vegas 88, and then we'll both run. All right. UFC 299. We really hit on O'Malley and Dustin a lot. They definitely were the show stealers. We didn't hit a lot on the prelims or Jan. I know Gamrot got a humongous one against RDA. But is there anything else on the show that jumped at you other than those two big fights? Is there another fighter that were like, wow, they jumped off the screen to me?
Yeah, Jack de la Maddalena beating Gilbert Burns. Not only beating Gilbert Burns, but stopping Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Khamzat Chimaev couldn't stop Gilbert Burns. When was the last time Gilbert Burns got stopped? Was a former world champion in Kamaru Usman.
Right.
And Jack de la Maddalena stops him in Florida in his second home. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. I just saw today as well, in case you haven't seen it, Jack de la Maddalena is now the number 5 or number 6 ranked welterweight in the world. I mean, how big is that? That is absolutely huge.
I love it. Wow, I'm getting a lot of news is out there. Okay. Yeah, I thought Jack Della, and I know he called at Shavkat. Shavkat said, yeah, that's absolutely do it. I kind of, in a weird way, agree with Elle. I don't think they should do that fight. I think those guys are so good and so young and undefeated in the UFC. let's let those guys keep growing on other fighters. You know, I would love to see, honestly, Shavkat versus maybe like Colby Covington. I would love to see Jack Della Maddalena. How about him versus Wonder Boy? Or, you know, I don't know who's number 4, you know, maybe a Luke. I don't know, maybe another big fight. And then maybe as a number 1 contendership, or by that time, one of those guys might even be champion. I don't think they should do that fight right away. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Yeah, I kind of do agree with what you're saying there. And it's like you don't want to do it too early, because that is a future title eliminator fight, or maybe in some universe a title fight, you know, with
Yes.
Shavkat being as good as he is,
Yes.
Jack Della Maddalena showing his potential. You know, there's no point in wasting it that early when it could be something much, much bigger in even 2 or 3 fights time. So yeah, I agree with you. And look, this division has so much going on with it. You know, we have Ian Gary, you could put him in the mix. You have
Tom Brady.
Sean Brady, I like that a lot. Let's put
Yeah.
Sean Brady in the mix. You know, we've
A lot
got
of
Jeff
great guys.
Neal. We've got, there's so many people. Vicente Luque, I love Vicente Luque is one of my favorite fighters. I'd love to
Yeah.
see him in the mix. This welterweight division is well and truly alive again, and we have got some good fights that could be made here, Dave. There's no need to rush Shavkat and Jack. We can put that in the back burner for a couple of fights, and there are some good options out here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top 6 now. So you got Leon. You even still, it's so funny we didn't even mention him at all one time. We still got Usman. Like, I know Usman says he really wants to maybe do another middleweight fight against Chimaev. I don't see that. Like, how about, like, you know what a huge fight would be? How about Usman versus Jack Della Maddalena? Like, that is a huge fight night main event, or a UFC pay-per-view co-main event. Because if Usman wins, he's right back. He defeated an under, kind of what Poirier just did to Benoit St. Denis, but even more, because I think Maddalena is even higher than Benoit. And then, of course, if Jack Della Maddalena gets through Usman, it's a title fight. Like, he fights Shavkat or Leon or Bilal, whatever happens in that nature. I like that. I actually thinking about it. Jack Della Maddalena versus Usman.
Yeah, it's a good fight in terms of name impact, and if Jack takes that fight and wins, it's a former champion.
Right.
The only problem I have with it is Usman's knees are completely finished, and it's almost like beating a shell of a former fighter. I don't, aside from the name impact, I don't know realistically how much it does for Jack in this division. That's my only concern for Jack. That being said, I think if you're Kamaru Usman, I see him more at middleweight now, if I'm honest. I think he's at that age where the weight cut's going to be too much. It's going to be too brutal on him. Put him at middleweight. There's really exciting fights there. You know, Kamaru Usman maybe against like a Robert Whittaker. That could be a lot of fun.
Love that fight. Love that fight. Love that fight. I like that.
I just saw Dawson's comment, JDMV Covington. My only issue with that is that Ian Gary has said he wants that fight, so I don't know what way they're going to swing. But as far as the fight goes, I like that fight. I do. I think there's some value to be had there.
Especially, and I don't think, because I know they went with the Luque. I mean, Ian Gary and Luque was going to happen. Like, I know he's not at Killcliff anymore. I get it, but like, I don't feel like they should just go for that as like make that more of a rival. They should almost put that to bed, because there's Shavkat out there. So I feel like if you do Shavkat and, you know, Colby, and then you have Della Maddalena versus Ian Gary, you could do Ian Gary versus, there's just so many options. Like I said, there's Sean Brady in the mix. There's even Gilbert Burns. Like, I know he lost, but he was winning that fight 2-0 until he got caught. So I know Burns stops back. I don't think he kicks back a ton. I still think it's Gilbert freaking Burns, right? He's still a stud.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And listen, Gilbert Burns is the standard bearer of this division. He's been the gatekeeper for a couple of years now. To be good enough to be the gatekeeper of a division as dangerous as welterweight, that says it more than anything else can. You know, he's still highly ranked. He's very, very well respected within this division. Gilbert Burns could still have a big part to play. I actually would like to see Ian Gary fight someone like Gilbert Burns, because I think Ian Gary was impressive, but I want to see him start taking steps up now in terms of levels of competition. Jack's proven he can handle that. I want to see if Ian Gary can.
I love that. This weekend, Saturday night, UFC Vegas 88, heavyweight main event, Marcin Tybura versus Tai Tuivasa, which is really fun. But of course, here at Fight Bananas, there's like 2 or 3 fights that are just leaping at us. We got Brian Battle in the co-main event Brian Battle and I have probably done around 10, 15 shows together. He's very in on the betting side of it. He loves talking analytics and stuff of that nature. So we love us some Brian Battle. The main event of the prelims might be the best fight on the freaking card. Nathan Levy versus Mike Beast Boy Davis. That is a phenomenal fight. Thiago Moises is on the card. GM3 versus Brian Barberina is on the card. We got C-Rod is on the card. Rodriguez. There's just a lot of Corey McKenna, who we've talked to multiple times. She's on the card. There's a lot of fun fights on this card for a UFC Fight Night, after a pay-per-view. To me, this is a really, really great card, Keelin. Is there a fight or two that's leaping up, jumping at you?
Yes, there's one. I'm actually glad you said that because there's one that stands out, and I don't think he's been mentioned by anybody. Kennedy Nzechukwu at light heavyweight. This kid is a killer, Dave. This kid is a future star of this division. He's in a fight against Oven St. Preux. How that slipped through the cracks, I don't know. But I think this is where Kennedy Nzechukwu takes the next step. He beats a big name, and he's into potentially the top 10 of that light heavyweight division. Do not sleep on Kennedy Nzechukwu because this kid is going places.
And also, too, another prelim I just saw is the Nunes chick, who she's a badass. She's like unbelievable. She's like must-see TV. She had one of the best fights of 2023. She's phenomenal. Yeah, the card's stacked. Like, it's a fun fight night card. I know the names aren't humongous. I know Davis and Battle. Like I said, Nunes. It's not Amanda Nunes. C-Rod. These are really, really high-end fighters. I know Dustin, GM3 versus Brian Barberina. Like, that is a fun fight. I think it's going to be one of these, has a potential of being like one of the show stealer cards of the whole entire year. Great fight night.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be one of the best fight nights of this year because we don't necessarily, and you are right, we don't necessarily have the biggest name value to the casual, but for those who know, they know this is not a card that you miss. This is going to be a really good card. Although so many casuals are going to tune in for Nunes and they're going to be so disappointed when it's the wrong one.
I loved it. I don't know if you saw earlier, we were talking with Emily Martin. She's 2-0. She's a badass American top team fighter. She just won a CFFC this past weekend. And I asked her who's the most famous person's number she has on her phone. She said Amanda Nunes. So there you go. Just an absolute stud.
And she is so impressive as well. And she's only 19 years old.
19, Keelin.
Good. Dave, I'm only 24 and I feel old, Dave. This game ages you on a level of knots. This is unbelievable.
Yep. All right.
By the way, Dave, just to switch it back on you for a second, who's the most famous contact in your phone?
Ooh.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Wow.
Do you have one that jumps out or anyone that comes to mind?
The two that jumps out at me is Roy Jones Jr. and maybe Kayla Harrison.
Oh, Dave. How can you just casually say, I have Roy Jones Jr.? Not one of the best boxers ever, and you're just like, Roy Jones? You have Roy Jones Jr. in your phone?
We got Brendan Allen here we got B. Allen. We got Gilbert Burns, your boy Gilbert Burns. Brian Battle, Mike Davis, Alan Belcher.
God.
Yeah, it's got to be Curtis Blades. Wow.
Oh, you have Curtis Blades. Nice.
I would, but yeah, you're right. It's got to be Roy Jones. Dude, I love me some Kayla Harrison. Michael David. Both. Wow, Gabriel. No, I don't have Jorge's. I could have had it, but Jorge needs to give it to me. I can't get it from someone else. You know what I mean? He has to be like, hey, my man, here's my number. So I don't have Jorge's. Yeah, it's pretty good, right, Kayla? I Roy Jones, right? Roy Jones Jr.
Well, it's a hell of a lot better than mine. Let's put it that way.
David Feldman, the Bare Knuckle FC, owner.
That's a good one.
John Fitch.
Oh, John Fitch. God, there's a blast from the past.
John Fitch. PG Pearl Gonzalez is in here. We do got some good ones.
Dude, you got some sleeper contacts. That is cool.
Chase Hooper. I love me some Chase Hooper.
Come on.
We're only in H too. I haven't Impa Kasangana I love some Danielle Kelly. Danielle Kelly's a superstar. Ooh. King Mo.
You've got King Mo lol. Oh my god, Dave.
King Mo. Let's see. Yeah, King Mo. I can't put the number up. I like. There's the. You ready? Boom, King Mo.
Yeah, I can confirm it's King Mo.
Yeah, so we got pretty good. All right, dude. Actually, here's the most Maddie Levine. All right, we got Maddie Levine's number in here. We're good. We're good. All right, we're at L. There we go. Yeah, so it's a fun question. I saw at the NFL like draft they were doing those questions, and like it's so funny. It's like different people that you wouldn't think has some, you never know, some odd phone numbers, different circles and different, scenarios. So it's pretty cool to ask that question. And you could tell she lit up. She has Amanda Nunes, Sagano's number. It was cool, dude. But Emily Martin, if you guys don't know her, check her out. 2-0 Pro. Her Instagram is like, I think it's like Gabe_BJJ, something like that. It's not her name, but check out Emily Martin on Instagram. But Keelin, I got to read this article at Fight Bananas Official. I can't wait. I'm going to read that article. We'll make that post right after this show. Any other thing? Is there anything else you want to jump at UFC 299 or anything you're hearing? O'Malley says, yeah, he thinks him and Merab 306 at the Sphere. That makes sense. Is there anything else you want to chat about?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, you and the guys covered everything really well. O'Malley's just exceptionally impressive. I was genuinely blown away. I think Chito Vera could have fought a much dirtier fight and it would have helped him a lot. I think he was too respectful up until the last round. By the way, in that last round, did you see that liver punch that he dropped O'Malley with? That was
absolutely
vicious.
And so it's so funny. I'm so happy you kind of talked about this because I a great chat. So I've been hearing like kind of what you just said, like he should have went this earlier and blah, 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 go for the body. For one, he tried to multiple times. Sugar Sean just kept on moving his feet and getting out of range. And even Sean talked about it. I heard the best. It was on Anik and Florian podcast. O'Malley even said, like, he's like, hey, I got 10 seconds left in the fight. I really want to try to put him out. I'm going to sit in the pocket. Like, that was the one time when he said it, like going into range, fainting and coming back out. He's like, hey, let's sit here. Let's go. And when he did, Chito got that awesome liver shot that if there's another minute or two in the fight, who knows? But Sean recognized there's only 10 seconds left and didn't allow that to happen earlier. So, between you and me, I don't know if Chito Vera ever fights for the championship again. There's so many great fighters in that division. Merab needs to get that shot. We got Corey, we got Umar. There's a lot of really high-level names and fighters. So, but I'm like you, incredibly impressed with Sean O'Malley. Incredibly impressed.
Corey Sanhagen's the dream matchup for me for that title. Yeah. I think that is one of the best fights in the history of the bantamweight division. Two guys who are basically identical in terms of physical specs. Yeah, so both long. Guys, both long, 5'11" bantamweights. I mean, you never see this. That's why I'm so excited for that. Elbows flying everywhere. Ooh. You'll have O'Malley's weird colored hair there. It'll just be a spectacle. And I swear to God, if Corey Sanhagen wins his next fight, I want to see him fight Sean O'Malley for that belt. But then with Sean O'Malley maybe going to Madrid and Spain to fight Ilia Topuria, that would blow the roof off of the Santiago Bernabeu. That would just be Dave, I know there's not a lot of people from Europe who maybe know about this, but that would be so huge in that Bernabeu. See Ilia Topuria and Sean O'Malley, they will sell that place out. I promise you they will.
Keelan, I've said this multiple times. I'm not a big fan of fighters moving up in weight class, especially when they haven't cleaned out their division. But this fight, for this moment, I would say they should do it. To me, I know this might sound hyperbolic. This is the biggest fight the UFC can make for itself, and not even that, for the future of the company. Because if they put O'Malley and Ilia together, the winner of that fight goes to another level, honestly becomes the face of the UFC. Whoever wins that fight. And I even feel like, in a weird thing, the loser, especially if how the fight goes, the loser doesn't lose that much. Maybe Ilia does, and if he gets stopped early by Sugar, maybe. But I just think it's one of these things. Sometimes you just have to jump on the moment, and this is the moment. They just have to do it.
Yeah, if you put this fight together, that's the closest that you get to a new McGregor, a new face of the company. Right. That's how you do it. Because like you said, and this is a great point, even the loser doesn't lose all that much. It's a super think they do.
Right. So and he goes, why? What's the attraction? I think the attraction is they're the two young, they're both super young. They're the champs. They're both on amazing winning streaks. They both finish people, and they're both like right there. Like you could tell, even Sean, maybe you think Sean is in that superstardom, and he might be the biggest bantamweight, seller of all time. I think that fight helps both fighters so much. Like the winner of Sugar and Ilya becomes like not even a casual. Everyone, you go to Target and like, hey, who's the, who are you watching at UFC this weekend? Ilya Taporia. Like he will become that name. And he's not that. Like he's not. I think he's getting to it. And same thing. I think Sean's getting to it. If you make that fight, the buzz for the fight, especially if they do it in, Spain, I think it would be amazing, not even for the sport, but for both fighters, for the future of the UFC. Like just one of those guys becomes the biggest star in the sport. I really do believe that.
Yeah, they do. And listen, I was just looking there while you were answering Michael's question. Sean O'Malley's 29. Ilya Taporia's only 27. The longevity you have with these guys, there's no loss here. These guys have got years left at the top of their respective divisions.
Right.
If you make this, you know how in Hollywood there's usually a movie of the summer? This is the fight of the summer. This is what you do. You make this June or July in Spain, the rest takes care of itself.
I agree. I agree. It's so funny. I don't want Islam to fight Leon. I don't even like Alex to fight Aspinall. There's so many of those. I want them to stay in their division to help the division. This is the one I'm like, yeah, just make this fight. Like this is it's the best fight the UFC can make. I don't think there's a better fight. Like, yeah, maybe if Conor comes back, but Conor Chandler, like that's good. But both those guys, look at both of those guys' age and what they're going to do in the future. Like, Chandler maybe have 2-3 more fights in the UFC. Maybe Conor has 1, maybe 2 at most. Ilya and Sean has 10 more fights each in the UFC. Like we're just getting to their peak right now. I just think it would be great. I really do. So, hey, but hey, Keelin, you have a nice article right now at fightbananasofficial.com. We did it again, guys. All this podcast, you can listen to it. You can download it on all podcast platforms. Please subscribe to the new YouTube channel. Fight Bananas has got a new one, so subscribe there. The show has been presented by Gillian-Robertson.com. Go get her merch at Gillian-Robertson.com. Keelin, anything else, my man? Anything else you want to chat about? I'm here for you.
In terms of the fights, I think we've covered everything. I don't want to beat it to death because you guys have already done such a great job this show covering all of that. I will say to try and counter Roy Jones Jr., he's not in my phone, but he does follow me on Instagram, Manny Ramirez.
The Boston Red Sox outfielder?
Former left fielder Manny Ramirez follows me, and Jonathan Papelbon follows me on Twitter, so that's kind of all I've got.
That's a win. I think, Keelin, you're the winner. The Roy Jones, I'll never dial it. I'll never call it. Should I one day I might FaceTime him and record it, but other than that, I can't.
That's what we should do one day, just as a laugh. If enough people are interested, just call Roy Jones and get him on Fight Bananas.
I love it. I love it. He's a stud. We had him on before he fought Mike Tyson. We had him on the show. I did a little one-on-one with him. It was amazing. It was like, it's big. It's like he was talking about Michael Jordan and everything. I'm like, wow, incredible. It's Roy Jones Jr., one of the greats of all time. But
dude, I freaking love Roy Jones.
I know. Like you want to go down a rabbit hole, go to YouTube, put in Roy Jones Jr. highlights and just you'll sit there for an hour and a half.
Yeah, easily. Roy Jones is he's one of the most exciting boxers there's ever been. And I'll actually give people a fun fact in case you don't know if you somehow don't know who Roy Jones Jr. is. The only person he ever couldn't beat, who he lost to 3 times, was Mason Dixon in Rocky Balboa. Antonio Tarver, former cruiserweight fighter in boxing. He's the only guy he can never beat, and he fought him 3 times and sadly lost all of them. But Roy Jones Jr. is one of the greatest. He's one of the best fighters of the 90s. Go watch it. You won't regret it.
Absolutely. Guys, what a great show. Thank you so much, Elle Dawson. Elle was on for the first hour. Of course, Emily Martin's UFC star Gillian the Savage Robertson, who might be in Cancun this upcoming weekend for Karate Combat. Keelin, I might need to make sure my passport is up to date. That might be fun. I might need to get out there. Keelin, always appreciate you and your time. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Betting Bananas is back with UFC Vegas 88 preview. All betting UFC Vegas 88. We'll get into that. My man, appreciate you. Appreciate your time. We're out of here, all right?
Yep, let's go, Dave. And I shall sneak into the hold of the plane.
Look at that. The hold of the plane. I love